And this means freedom, self-awareness, expression. And this to me means you can be more than one thing. I'm Jasmine Bowdry, and you're listening to And This Podcast. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, they want to let their business go, but they're so attached to it. It's their baby. But then there's also these tough market conditions, like things aren't the same as they were when I first started PYL and running ads. Like you would make money like that off of ads. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to run the ad, right? So sometimes it's, the market shifts. Sometimes it's personal. This sabbatical has allowed you to be off the grid. But for those entrepreneurs that know they need to let this business go, they desire to be off the grid. They no longer have the energy to put into this business.
For example, one group could self-identify, like, I've learned so much from my business over the last few years. Let me go and get a stable income. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of times you even have bigger opportunities because you have more resources to leverage. And I always tell people, if you could do that, and it's not forever, nothing you decide to do, you choose, is forever, right? And so you could decide, you know what, I need a year to figure things out, but I have this massive skill set that I know someone else could utilize. Let me go. Yet, okay, all your time won't be your time, but that's okay. It's a trade-off. Yeah. You'll never get 100% of exactly what you want when you're trying to figure things out. You have to trade off to see, can I see myself here, right? Okay, I'm fulfilling the capital aspect because I'm also taking care of family. And so it's a means to an end. And that's okay. It may be for a year, maybe for 2 years. And I think there's another group where you have to ask yourself a question of, how much capital do I need to make in order to maintain a lifestyle that is manageable? Not a lifestyle where, you're rolling, you're buying cars, every month, like a lifestyle that's manageable.
So your IG bio says that you are the queen of career pivot. I think the one that everyone saw was my pivot from Necole Bitchy to Exo Necole, because at the time, I'm a gossip blogger, one of the top gossip bloggers. Yeah. In the world. And, I was the source. Like, when something happened, people were like, I got to go to NecoleBitchy.com. Like, no matter what happens, I'm going to get all the tea. I'm not going to get bits and pieces. And so I think I really did a good job of branding the site as a place you're really going to get a breakdown of everything that's going on when it happens. But yeah, I decided I didn't really, I did it for 7 years and just decided that's not what I wanted my life purpose to be. And I felt like I was living my life as a spectator to other people's lives versus actually living my life. And I was like, there has to be something bigger out there. And at the time, I think I was in an airport and I remember looking at covers of magazines. And at the time, there were no women on the covers that look like me. Like, it's changed a lot over the years. Black women became popping, but at some point we weren't on covers like that. And I also wanted to know, where would my 16 or 18 or even 21-year-old cousin go to talk about things other than celebrity gossip? Where would they go to talk about relationships, dating, like mental health, vagina health, vaginal health. And I didn't see anything. Like, Essence was skewing kind of like 35 and up at the time. Yeah. So I was like, who's targeting that 18 to 35-year-old minority woman? So that's what really prompted the idea to launch Exo Necole, like almost like a younger, fresher Essence. Is what I was going for, blended with a Black, like, Cosmo magazine, like blending those two concepts together. And so, yeah, that's how I transitioned from Necole Bitchy to Exo Necole. I feel like after I launched Exo Necole and how much I worked between two brands, I started having resentment for work. Mm-hmm. Like, it's taken me away from having the family I want. I want to be married. I want to have kids. But these businesses are taking me away from, like, what I truly desire in my life. And I think I almost tricked myself into believing I didn't want marriage and I didn't want kids because I just didn't see how it fit into my life. So when I had the idea for My Happy Flow, I knew I didn't want to run another brand as a solo founder because I'm like, I felt like I was almost pushing the clock back again.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I started My Happy Flow in partnership with a friend, and I romanticized us growing this brand and being on magazine covers together and like, just being known. I knew this was going to be a powerful brand that made a big impact, and I wanted to share that spotlight with someone. And so when it didn't work out, that was the first hurdle, launching a brand under partnership, not doing due diligence in terms of get your operating agreement together. If you ever go in partnership for anything, there needs to be an agreement. You need to know like who's going to be doing what, like who's in charge of what.
Yeah.
Like we crisscrossing and
who was in charge of the girls.
We both trying to talk to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
We both trying to do marketing, or we're both trying to and really outline what those duties and those titles are and what the percentages are. And don't talk about percentages over a handshake. No, this need to be in
writing.
And what happens if someone leaves the company, or what happens if someone passes away? You might end up with somebody's husband as your business partner if you don't really work out the details of what this partnership looks like. And so that, it didn't last long at all. Like we didn't even make it to the product launching for us to when we parted ways. And then I was dealing with 3 years of just legal, trying to figure that out. And it's hard to grow a brand when you don't know if you're going to have to change the name or am I going to have to start all over and register a new business? And it's hard to even fall in love with this brand. I couldn't attach to the idea of it because I didn't even know if it was actually going to be mine. And so that was a big hurdle. At the same time, I'm still at Necole. And I'm not happy there because I'm in the middle of an acquisition, but not feeling fully free in my business anymore, having to run stuff past. So it was just challenging.
There's no wrong path unless you allow your ego to lead, right? If you allow your ego to lead, then there's always going to be a frustration because you don't want other people to see you a certain way. Yep. And that's the hardest thing to do when you're trying to figure things out. It doesn't matter how other people see you because you have to remember they're afraid to follow their dreams anyways.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
You're the man or woman in the arena. Yep. You're the person taking action, right? Like you are good. Like you are what they strive to be. And so you have to understand that you looking foolish, doing things that you're stretching yourself to do, doing things that you're trying to do is actually success. Right? It's actually the thing that you need to do in order to move forward. People that are criticizing you, that are telling you the things that you can't do, that have done nothing, that are telling you that, well, you can't do that, right? Well, you're the makeup girl, right? You're the clothing boutique girl, like you can't do these other things. And by the time they stop talking, they realize that I remember her, I remember when she used to do hair, remember when she used to do makeup, they can't wrap their mind around how other people achieve success. And it's because they're simply doing the things that may make you look foolish, right? That may make you look like, oh my God, this person looks lost, but they're actually finding themselves.
As of today, I have been single. This is probably going on year 10. Hell, it might be year 11. Of single, of not exclusively being in a relationship. And obviously, I've dated, I'm dating, have dated, but those are not, that's not an exclusive relationship. That is not, a commitment. And I am one that dates with intention. I like to align myself with those that, hope to be looking for the same, things that eventually want, marriage, a family, all of that. And I find the older I get, the more difficult it has become. And I don't think, I'm sure there are people out there that say, oh, you're older. Men want somebody that, 21 and you're not desirable. I don't believe any of that, honey, because I know. I know I'm a good thing. I know I look good. I know that I would be an amazing wife, mother, and value add to any partner that I, choose to be with. And so I don't even believe any of that mess. However, I will say that it's difficult to date when you are older because you know yourself so well. Like, my boundaries are so in place. I know what I want. I know what I do not want. And at this stage, you just don't waste your time. Like, yeah, when I was 20, maybe I would probably, and I'm sure I did, waste time, with guys who, let's just be friends, blah, 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 blah. But no, I know what I want. I know how I want to be treated. I know how I want to feel. And I think that is something that we miss in relationships, especially women. It's like, yeah, it's cool to say, oh, I got a man, my man, but is your man making you feel good? Like, how do you feel when you're with that man? Is he affirming you? Is he being intentional with how he communicates with you? Is he putting in consistent effort? Does he bring you joy? Do you guys laugh? Like, those are feelings. And those are things that I want to feel. And if I don't feel those things, then I am not going to move forward in any type of relationship. And so I think, again, just as you get older, you just have been through life. There are some things you've just been through life, and that gives you wisdom. I take myself on dates. I get pretty, I get dressed up, I smell good for myself. I take myself to the best restaurants. I treat myself to the best experiences. And so I think that sometimes, while yes, being single can suck sometimes, I also think that you have to think about it differently. And how can you go about maximizing it? How am I spending my money? How am I saving? How am I planning for a future with someone else? How am I planning for potential children? Like, how am I actually really maximizing this time? I buy myself flowers. I take myself on trips. First class, 5-star. And so I am going to treat myself to the best love that I can give myself before I expect somebody else to come in and do that for me. So I'll say, to really start preparing yourself for the love that you want, know how you want to be loved. And in order to know how you want to be loved, you have to love yourself first. I feel that oftentimes we don't stop when we know we need to, because we feel like I'm going to be labeled as a failure. And trust me, I get it. I had those same thoughts and those same feelings. Like, wow, Jazz, you had your business for 7 years. What are people going to think if you stop, if you quit? But that is why I'm giving you these 6 hard lessons, because these are all things that I wish I had done sooner. And perhaps if I did them, then I would still be running that clothing brand. Who knows? And perhaps I still will open another one in the future. Who knows? But if you're at that fork in the road where you're like, do I want to keep going? Do I want to close? Really see if some of these lessons are things that can help you pivot now to continue the push, to continue growing your business, to continue on your journey. But if you're just over it and it's time for you to shift, it's time for you to move into something else, it's time for you to do this and this. At the end of the day, I learned a lot from my journey, but I also know that there are things that I could have done differently that would have helped make the process much easier.